Warning: the following podcast was recorded by two idiots. It contains vulgar language, vulgar ideas, and poop jokes. If any of this offends you, blow it out your ass.
Son of a bitch bastard!
Let's start this again, shall we? Jesus Christ.
You're fucking retarded.
Hey, Pickle Licker, want to play the right intro?
One more time!
Are you ready?
Welcome to another episode of Let Us Cast. I am Andrew. With me, as always, is Bruce.
Hey.
Hey.
How's it going, man?
Going good, man. Going good. This is going to be a good episode, man. I can feel it. I can feel it.
Oh, yeah. The fires are burning. Ready to go, sir. Ready to go.
I can feel it right down in the cockles of my cock. This is going to be a good one.
The subcockles of my cack.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So how you been doing lately?
Pretty good. A little generally frustrated with certain things, which is something we're going to get into here. But other than that, not so bad. I had like a week or two where I was feeling generally shitty. Like I don't know if I was like fighting off a cold or whatever, but like I was all stuffy and like my ear was all fucked up. But other than that, now that's all in the past. So other than that, I'm pretty good. How are you doing, man?
Dude, I feel like the weight of the world was just lifted off my shoulders within like the last week and a half.
The world is suddenly a lot lighter.
Yeah, I'm no longer
so many ways.
I'm no longer Atlas holding up a giant goddamn turd.
Yeah. Who was it that pushed the boulder up the hill? Was that Sisyphus?
What's that?
Who was it who pushed the boulder up the hill for eternity? Was that Sisyphus?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah. That was you, man. You were fucking pushing that boulder up the hill for like far too long. But everything's coming up Millhouse, as you've been saying.
Yes, everything's coming up Millhouse.
For once.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I recently left my job.
Woo!
And I could not be fucking happier about that.
You need like a round of applause sound effect for that shit. Here, I'll give you the. There you go. I'm only one guy, but there you go.
I was gonna say that's the best you can do. God damn it.
Well, yeah, Lebowski, clap. God damn it. He's not listening.
Goddamn cat.
He's got paws, so it would just be like.
Yeah, man. But needless to say, like I was pretty frustrated at my job, and like it just led to. Yeah. It just...
Well, so for some backstory, up until very recently, you and I were essentially in the same field of work. We were both in the customer service field, and obviously we're not going to reveal who I worked for, or who you worked for, but suffice it to say that we were both in the customer service. You were in the customer service industry, and I still am.
Yeah. In kind of different aspects, though, in that sense of like...
Very different. Yeah, because, I mean, yours was far more... demanding, I would say.
Yeah. So, to put it shortly, I guess, I worked. I'm trying to figure out how I can word this. Just
would
like
you
that.
say like dispatch? I guess.
I guess emergency dispatch. I guess.
Yeah, emergency dispatch would be a good
emergency dispatch. It's very
umbrella.
Very vague.
It doesn't really reveal anything about it, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get in trouble with this, so fuck them.
Besides, even if you do, you're out of that company now, so
yeah, it doesn't matter. So, but yeah, so I had been there, God, over 3 years now, and like when I first started, I was working, part-time there and part-time at Home Depot, and like some of those days were fucking insane because like I would have to there were some days where I would work that job until like the first job, the dispatch job, until like I think my hours were 6:30 to 11:30, something like that. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So it was part-time. I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool. It gives me the rest of the day off. I can, go do my other job in the afternoon. Okay. Then I would remember there were some times where Home Depot would be open until like 10 o'clock at night, and then that's when I would get out sometimes.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's basically a 12-hour day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it
Damn,
sucked.
dude.
And I was having like flashbacks to when I was working at ZLX as like an intern and then driving down to Connecticut from fucking Brighton to work that hotel job. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's worse than the Nashua thing that you were doing.
Um.
Maybe not, because that was a pretty hefty drive too.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I'd say they were both equally shitty, but at least the one like from Brighton to Connecticut didn't have any tolls. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. So, anyways, where was I? Oh yeah. So I had been doing this for over 3 years. Within the last 2 months. Okay, just keep this in mind. Within the last 2 months, I had gone out on medical leave because of stress.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was just every day screaming, shouting, cursing, being verbally abusive, and the company did nothing. Even when I brought it, I even told the supervisor at one point, I said, this is an issue that's been going on for a year, and you guys are dragging your asses on it if you're doing anything at all.
That's got to be one of the most infuriating parts about working for a company of a certain size, because both of us worked. Well, the company you worked for, I would say, is probably larger than the one that I'm working for. But let's just say that both companies are pretty large, and the bigger the company gets, I feel like the less in tune they are with like the needs and desires of the employee. Where like if you work for a mom and pop store, like when I worked for there was this I can say the name because they've long gone under. No one gives a shit about this company now. But I used to work for a company called Exit 41. And great name, by the way, because they were off of Exit 41. So, geez, what a great fucking name. Who came up with that? How long did that take you? Yeah. Anyway, so that company, like, if I had any concerns or whatever, I had no problem about, going to my boss, or if I had to, which I never did. But, like, if I had to, I could have gone to, like, above him and been like, hey, man, I'm having an issue. But no, at any time I had a problem, I could go to my boss and we would work it out. But it's because I feel that it was a pretty small company. There wasn't more than like 30 or 40 people in the whole company. Yeah. That's pretty small. Compare that to the places where you used to work and where I'm working, and it's like there are like 20 to 30 people in this one office, never mind across the country. Yeah. So way different. So like when you consider that, they just don't have the manpower or the resources or the time, unfortunately, to be dedicating as much as they should to their employees, and giving, especially in a role like you had where it's basically emergency dispatch, there kind of needs to be some sort of support system for your employees, because like you said, you're going to be taking the worst shit from people day in and day out. Not like me. Like I will get a problem customer every now and again, but my worst customer is probably like equivalent to your best, honestly.
Probably.
Because like the people who are calling me, they're calling me because their shit's broken, but they're not calling me because like it's an emergency. It's bad. It might be bad, but it's nothing like what you were dealing with. So you were literally seeing people. You might as well have been in the medical field, just seeing people at their worst. Yeah. All the time. Because like when you're a doctor, face it, that's all you see when you're a doctor is people at their worst. So like that's tough, man. Day in and day out, that's a hard thing to do. And so you would want a company to be there to be like, hey, listen, we know your job's really tough. You're taking shit from people day in and day out. Here's what we're gonna do to make up for it. Maybe some extra time off. I don't know. There's got to maybe it has to be a case by case basis, because what works for you might not work for me. Like maybe you'll come to me and be like, hey, Bruce, you could have a day off. I'm like, fuck that. I don't want that. Give me more money. And maybe they come to you and they're like, Andy, we'll give you an extra day off. And maybe you're cool with that. I don't know. Everybody's different, but they got to be better about that kind of thing for sure.
Yeah, and like when I first started, they were pretty cool with it. Like if if they were asking people like, hey, can you pick up extra hours, or they're like, hey, we're gonna do this thing where during these days, if you pick up extra hours, if you're part-time, we'll give you a Visa gift card for like $25 in addition to paying you the extra money. If you're full-time, you get a card for $50. I'm like, you know what, that's at least cool. It's a little something extra. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
But like they stopped doing that. And like oddly enough, on my last review that I got from a supervisor, they actually docked points from me for not taking voluntary extra hours.
That's bullshit.
It is bullshit.
What if you had a second job, or like you in particular have a very unique situation where like you have responsibilities to your house that I bet my fucking left nut that other people don't have
Yeah.
right now. So like that's one thing that got me too is I had something come up with my work where they put me into a group of what was supposed to be like an emergency team, and I was frankly honored by it because to me that was sort of a nod to the fact that they recognize that I'm a dependable and hardworking person. So hey, thank you, I appreciate that nod. But what I didn't appreciate is there was no communication about like what that meant, and then they were going to be asking me to like come in after work, like come in. It's like I was already going to be working like 8 o'clock in the morning, and they wanted me to come in like later in the day to work until to do like a 7 to 8 thing to test the new system that they're working on. I'm like, motherfucker, like you can't just assume that I'm available at night after my shift. Like I probably have other shit to do, and like I was just saying right before we started, like I had something come up today where we have an off-site or an off out-of-country call center because the lines are monitored 24/7.
Yeah.
So we have an off-site, I think it's in the Philippines or something, but so that we can have 24-hour coverage. And that shit went down. So I got a text message this morning at like 10 in the morning or something. Hey, we need like 2 people to log on if you can for like 1 or 2 hours until the phone systems come back up. And then I didn't respond because, I'm fucking busy. It's Sunday morning. Like, it's my day off. I've got bigger fish to fry than deal with, whatever my company wants. So then like like an hour or less than that goes by, and I get another message like, hey, please respond to us whether or not you're going to be able to. And my first thing was like, dude, it's Sunday. Do you know what a lot of people do on Sunday? They go to church. Fucking leave me alone. Like, I'm not saying I'm at church, but like,
No.
You can't just expect that people are gonna respond to you. And when they don't give me this like, hey, can you please respond to me? Like, I get it. You're trying to be nice about it, but at the same time, like, if I could respond, I would. So leave me the fuck alone. And when you're not good about, like, that's another thing that I was get to about like being a big corporation is communication sucks. So like, even if you do go to them and be like, hey, here's this issue. Think about how many people that has to go through before anything can be done about it. Because especially if it requires like a policy change, holy shit, that's probably going to require like meetings and all kinds of people up the ladder that you didn't even think of or didn't even know about probably. And it's just like it gets so messy, and that's why everything happens at like a tectonic pace. And then when it does, it's usually like handled improperly, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's the bigger the company gets, the worse shit gets for things like that. And they just don't give a fuck. They just want you to show up, do your job, and if not, well, hey, that's fine. We got like 12 other people, especially nowadays. People are, grinding at the bit for a job. So it's like,
Yeah.
Hey, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. We can find somebody else. You are totally fucking expendable. And that's the message that I get, and I'm sure that's the message you were getting is, hey, if you don't like it, there's the door. And that shouldn't be the attitude.
Yeah. Like I still remember there was one email that I had gotten from another supervisor who was also part of the the work at home program. Just like quick backstory before I fucking go further. When my company decided like, hey, we're gonna have some people like start working at home because if we have those days where it starts snowing 2 or 3 feet, it's not safe for you to drive in, which was their policy. Like, oh yeah, even if there's like 2 or 3 feet of snow outside, like you're expected to come in and do your shift.
Mm-hmm.
If the cops pull you over, just show them your badge and they'll let you go. Like, still for a company that's based on safety, like it's not exactly a good move.
Yeah.
So there was a test pilot program. It was 5 people. It was myself and 4 other people. The supervisor that chose me, like she was my direct supervisor regardless, but she said, look, I don't want you to think I chose you for this job just because you're on my team. She said, your stats across the board are fucking great. That's why I want you to be on this team. She's like, you earned this. So anybody gives you shit about that, you tell them to come and see me. And I fucking loved this lady when she was my supervisor. Like I would have gone into battle with her.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Sometimes you do get good people, but then unfortunately, as soon as that person moves along to their greener pastures, you feel great because they're getting what they deserve. But at the same time, now you're probably going to get fucked, and that's exactly what happens. Is once you lose that good connection,
that's what happened.
You get totally fucked.
That's what happened. She went into another division within the company, so she was no longer my supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, this is gonna suck. And
Yeah.
just in my head, like I was even telling